Happy Saturday. Welcome to Being Civil in Minnesota. This is a place on Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock where we come and talk about family law issues. As you can see today, I'm not posting from my office. Unfortunately, over last weekend, the Profinium building had a pipe burst on the 4th floor and my office is on the 3rd floor. So we were dealing with some water damage to the shared workspace, and over the last few days with the flood warnings, there's been a lot of people that have been impacted by the flooding downtown, people's homes and businesses. So I feel for the areas that have been impacted by the floods. This group is here today, and if you can't make it today for the live, if you have questions about today's topic, which is prenups and postnups, you can go ahead and post them on the video and I will try to answer them later. Hi, good morning, good to see you guys. So what this is not intended to be legal advice. I do not become your attorney by providing this free legal information. I think people should have resources. I think there's a lot of good information out there, but there's also a lot of misinformation out there. So today's topic, we're going to talk about prenups, and what a prenup agreement basically is it's a contract, and according to the statute, which needs to be updated, it says a contract is between a man and a woman. Again, the legislature may want to consider updating 519.11. Two consenting adults who enter into a contract, they can do that before you marry. And why would you want to, this is love. I love them. Why would I ever need a contract? Well, the reason why you need a contract, or could you need a contract, varies between family to family. Hopefully, when you go into a marriage, you know the person you're marrying, you know their financials, you know their debts, their liabilities, you know their income, maybe you even know how many kids you guys want or where you want to live. A lot of this stuff should be talked out ahead of time, and I think our culture is shifting towards a more proactive than a reactive place for individuals and families because divorce can be so messy. A lot of us are coming from a generation of divorced parents, perhaps seeing what went on. Hey, good morning. Why don't you bop on and say hi in the comments so I can see who's here? You may have gone through a really, as a child, seeing divorce. And my parents got divorced when I was very, very young. Also, when I got married, I went to law school and I didn't have the money to put myself through law school. But my fiance and I decided that we wanted me to go to law school together and it was going to benefit us both. So we agreed to a prenup. They had a family business. And so we just kind of talked about it like, all right, well, what does happen if we divorce? Which unfortunately did happen. Thankfully, I worked at Legal Aid and I got my student loans forgiven. So neither one of us had to worry about that issue. But I'm glad that I did it. And at the time, it felt a little bit unsexy, right? But all it's doing is putting something in place that's a point in time that can say, this is what you have, this is what I have. We all agree that this is the number in the account. We agree that this is our date of marriage, and so that is yours. And we're going to build a great life together, and that will be ours. So what do you have to do to have a valid contract? Well, you have to have it in writing, and it has to be, you have to disclose all of your income and property. And if you don't do that, then it's possible that the prenup could get challenged down the road. And obviously, if your goal is avoiding fighting and giving money to the lawyer and keeping it yourself, hiding assets is not going to make the contract enforceable. All right. You can also change kind of those default rules for non-marital property. So, for example, a non-marital debt of student loans or a home mortgage. A lot of couples are buying homes before they get married. The mortgage could be in one name, the deed could be in another, or both. This can sort of alleviate some of those questions like, yeah, we had this on the mortgage because of a credit reason or other financial reason as to why you may have put the asset in one name or the other, but that you're both contributing to the purchase of a home. So that's something else that I had put in my own prenup, is that we had bought a house before we got married, and so we wanted to make sure that if something happened, that was reflected in what our understanding was about what our life was going to be like. Now, it doesn't have to be, a lot of people take a prenup very personally. It's really intended to be sort of just a balance sheet. Like I said, just sort of a point in time that kind of says this is where things are at, and should things go south, this is what should happen. One good example is a family heirloom. If something happens, you want to make sure that you're able to continue to pass down that family heirloom to your next generation. And I'm not talking necessarily about an engagement ring or anything that specific, but even a table or a hut or a painting. You want to make sure that the way that your property is handed down to your heirs is through your what you plan to do. So what happened if you didn't have time to get a prenup, or you were like, I didn't think about it because I thought prenups meant I didn't love them, or that I planned on divorcing them. Not true. It's not too late. If you're married and you think that making sure that you and your spouse are on the same page regarding your financial situation, it can be a good time. So, but if you do it when you're married, you both have to be represented by a lawyer. And that's because I think it's because there's a general understanding that we want to make sure that people are not put in a situation where they feel pressured into doing something. Better or worse kind of thing. It gets real bad. You can't be forced to sign a contract. Things that you specifically cannot contract away are custody of the children, or child support, saying I'm never going to pay child support. We talked in a different video about child support being the right of the child and not necessarily the parent. You can amend and revoke, meaning to change your mind and to cease that agreement, revoke it, meaning take it back. If you do that, again, you want to make sure that you're in compliance with the statute, that you have both parties are represented by attorneys. The contract has to be in writing, 2 witnesses. If you're doing it before you get married, both parties are not required to be represented by an attorney, but the time and effort to do a prenup should be pretty limited in scope, and you should be able to find a lawyer that would be willing to help you review a contract and advise you regarding the rules and your rights to sign the agreement. So think about it. It's certainly a conversation. Nobody gets married to get divorced. Okay, I think some people may get married strategically, but most people don't get married to get divorced. So you want to make sure that you do plan for the unplanned. I don't think any of us knew that there was going to be a pandemic that changed a lot of things for people. There's been, I think, a shift in sort of the culture and the way that we want to define sort of our own rights and make sure that we're not leaving our grandmother's hutch in the hands of someone that doesn't really know your family. So judges certainly do the best they can when they have to divide marital property upon a divorce, but if you have a clear contract, either a prenup or a postnup agreement, it takes that discretion away, and it takes away the uncertainty and the expenses. So if you have any questions about a prenup or a postnup, you can go ahead and post those questions here. I hope everybody stays dry, and that those of you who are getting water out of basements and businesses, I wish you guys all the best. So take care.